distracted. I think we're going to do this. All right, I'm fading to black.
All right, let's go.
And then let's count it in. We are going live in 5, 4, 3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for September 30th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Tony Hawk gives us hope for the future, and Kojima is being more Kojima than ever with Death Stranding 2. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Emma Fyffe, everybody. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm so good. Yes, people in chat are commenting about my new setup. All I did was turn my desk around.
Yep.
And you know what? I like it, though, because I feel like I get an opportunity to showcase I have a lot more plushies than this, so it'll be an ever-rotating collection of plushies that change. I see people are noticing the Pink Guerrilla, which is, of course, from Pink Guerrilla Games, which has multiple stores in the Seattle area, which Kelsey Lewin, who wrote the Animal Crossing book for Boss Fight, is one of the owners and proprietors of that particular establishment. And she was kind enough to give me that Pink Guerrilla last year at Portland Retro Expo, which was this past weekend, which normally I would be at, but I'm getting married this coming weekend. So we were just like,
priorities.
It would be a little much to try to do Portland Retro the weekend before our wedding. So
I understand for sure. Yeah, we went to Pink Guerrilla when we were there for PAX West, and I have footage. I've been meaning to cut that together for something. I will do that. I'll do that this week. Why not? That'll be fun to get that up on the website. But hey, speaking of this week, it is Infrastructure Week here on Giant Bomb, everybody. That means we'll be playing a bunch of dumb sim dad games probably on here. Jan in Slack did say we should play Expeditions or a Mud Runner game, Expeditions, whatever it's called, today, multiplayer. And so we're doing that because that's my love language. So we'll make that happen. Looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun stuff on the website today, though, and throughout the rest of the week. We'll pick something each day. I want to do stuff like Satisfactory. I want to build bridges. I want to do all kinds of crazy stuff. We'll see what we can fit in here, and we'll have a good time. All right. Other than that, Emma, how is the wedding planning going?
It's good. Yeah, I'm feeling ready. My soon-to-be sister-in-law said to us on the phone yesterday that we seemed too calm and we must be forgetting something. But,
sure.
I think I maybe talked about it on this show before. I can't remember if it was a conversation I had privately with Bacalar, that it feels crazy to be putting all of this work and time and money into a thing that isn't being you know what I mean? Because it's I do this for work, but it's for production. It's for stuff that's going to be filmed. And I'm like, this is just basically doing my job, but it's just for me privately.
Yep. Yeah. That's gotta be a weird feeling. Yeah, for sure.
It is weird, but no, I feel good. And I will say that I am tremendously lucky being in the field that I am in, that I didn't have to vet vendors because I already know everybody.
You already know everybody. That's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. I'm glad you're able to use that. Yeah. That helps. I remember for mine, I like doing stuff myself. So even on the wedding night when things were shutting down, we were getting ready to go. We had a karaoke bar afterwards that just let us stay there all night, way after closing. It was great. But there's a set time where I'm like, okay, we got to get out of this barn. It's a nice barn that we got married in. And I'm like, I'm gonna help make sure we fill up the truck and stuff. And people are like, you're the groom. You're not supposed to do this. I'm like, this calms me. This is good. I'm happy to just to have something to do, and we'll all go have fun here at the karaoke bar in a second. So
totally.
Yeah, being able to take care of stuff yourself is nice.
Yeah, Lexi says I should just invoice fandom for the whole thing and see if they notice.
Oh, they won't. Yeah, that's a good call. Good idea.
No.
They would. Absolutely would. All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with there will be a future for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, says Tony Hawk. This is from Malcolm Poole at DualShockers. The original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was released 25 years ago today, and Tony Hawk had some heartfelt words for all his fans. He posted it on Instagram, actually, a pretty long message talking about how it changed his life and how he recognizes when people say it changed skating and changed how people make tricks and stuff like that. But mostly he talked about what it meant for him. And then he also did a kind of a nice shout out to some of the teams that worked on it. He basically said, thanks to Activision, Neversoft, rest in peace, and all of you that played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in those formative years. I'm not supposed to tease anything else about the future of the series, but there will be a future. So, hey, what I mean, to me, this means I'm getting the party favors out. I'm gonna get out my Vans and I'm gonna put those on. I'm expecting this to mean a full new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game, whether that's a remake or something new, whatever it is. I'm setting my hopes as high as possible for this. Emma, should I be doing that?
I think that is just the way we have to live our lives. You know, I had somebody on the sales team or production ask me the other day if video games ever come out on their release dates, and I said pretty much no.
Yeah.
So I think that this is the right attitude to just adopt going forward is optimism. I mean, especially I think that the optimism is warranted if, you know, Tony Hawk is out here, you know, talking about this, because he is somebody who is, I don't know, he feels like he is very cognizant of like fan expectations, and this is clearly a project that like he cares about a whole lot. So I think that I admire and support your lofty expectations.
Same. And I think, I mean, it's the kind of series where it probably will never go away fully. There's always going to be a reason to come back, talk to Tony Hawk if you're Activision slash Microsoft now, and figure out something to do together. Mm-hmm. I still think the thing that makes the most sense is a new game. Now, is there like a chance that this is just a skin in Call of Duty, as some people are joking? Sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that'd be weird, but yeah, I mean, who knows at this point? It could be anything dumb like that, or something along those lines, equally dumb. But I think, you know, we are looking at a company that has a desire to continue to do some variety of games because of Game Pass, because of any number of reasons. And when they look at, hey, what has succeeded recently, not just like in the past, but recently, it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, if you're looking for anything not named Call of Duty. So going back to that, and like they're not doing the thing like they did originally with the Tony Hawk, which was let's release a game every year so it gets beaten into the ground. Their time has passed now since Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
We are now talking. He's talking in a way that suggests that something happened recently in terms of putting a deal together. So we're probably a year or two away at the earliest from hearing about this thing. So all of that sounds like, yeah, that's about the right amount of time, especially if it's going to be not Tony Hawk's Skater 3+4, which is like, hey, I would welcome that again. I don't care. Give me that. I love those games. 3 and 4, I love equally. So yeah, I would love to see that. But if this is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 6, I guess, or Underground as a remake or something like that, I'd be happy all around.
It almost feels like we're beyond numbering at this point, and it's just going to be like
especially after
Tony
5.
Hawk Pro Skater Redux, Revengeance.
Yeah, I mean, 5 really ruined it for that series, where that game was just so bad that the idea of continuing that legacy is now off the table, it seems like. But yeah, the people in chat, like Brady saying, I feel like Thug 1 would do well if it re-released again. I agree. I think that there's a world now where it's like, if you had the ultimate version, the definitive version of Thug, Tony Hawk's Underground, and added all of the online features that a lot of the community actually ended up adding over time with the special version of Thug that got like released and you can play and still play to this day. Although it's hard to get it running sometimes. At least I struggled to get it running at one point a few years ago. A game like that could very easily capture an audience of like, hey, we redid it. We made it look like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 remake, and now it has all these extra quality of life features. Yeah. And I kind of hope that would be like, that's something they can look at and be like, we can get that done under a certain budget. And so we could justify it. But with these companies these days, they are always looking for home runs. They are always looking for every dollar spent should make $10, not every dollar spent should make, you know, in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 Remake, it seemed like $1 spent made $5. It was a huge success, but they want a grand slam home run. And so that's why it's a question mark, when really in the past it wouldn't have been, which is why it feels like we're in this weird place for gaming overall. But it's like, if we live in a world where a successful Tony Hawk franchise cannot continue for other reasons, I'm going to get pretty disenfranchised and disillusioned by video games. I don't know. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And I think you brought up, again, the larger conversation about what's going on in the video game world it's the same problem that's been plaguing movies for a while, and also for television series. Television, it feels like, is trying to claw its way back. But yeah, I mean, again, the issue is everything has to be a massive hit. There is no room for with these big companies that are publishing these AAA titles.
Right.
There's no room for, this is a great Sunday afternoon co-op thing. I'm gonna play with my kids on the couch. Yeah, it's just like, and also, if Tony Hawk can't succeed, which is a recognized brand as far as a video game franchise goes, and a recognized celebrity within the space, both in skating and as a gamer, because, again, of his strong association with the Tony Hawk Pro Skater franchise. Yeah, I mean, it's like, what do we do?
Yep, exactly. And it's skating is more popular now than it's maybe ever been, especially globally.
Yeah.
And it now feels like the time to, like, all right, bridge this generational divide. It's not really a divide. Tony Hawk is right there commentating on the young kids doing pre-900s back to back, and commentating at the Olympics when, 13-year-old kids from Brazil and Japan are winning medals and stuff like that. So there's no divide on the skating side, but maybe on the public and the video game side of, all right, let's take Tony Hawk's name, let's get all of those kids into these video games and let them kind of take the torch on that side of things. Yeah. So in 15 years, when I'm hoping to see a new skateboarding game, and it's one of those kids whose names do not come to mind as someone who I enjoy watching skateboarding, but it's not something I'm thinking about frequently. Tony Hawk's in my mind because 25 years ago they released Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, even though he was in the space kind of. He was known. He was doing 900s that was on MTV or whatever it was, the X Games, and ESPN. I would watch that stuff to a certain degree. He probably would have fell out of my mind had it not been for the video games. And I think it's time for them to sort of pass that forward. Not that the companies care about that, but I think they can make money doing that. So it's me kind of begging, hey, please go make money doing that so I can get all this cool stuff that I want. And I think it sounds promising to say there is a future after talking about the game's 25th anniversary, which quarter of a century, huh? Is that
I was like, I played a lot of the OG Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and it was very funny because it was one of the games that I feel like I was resistant to. I was like, I don't want to play a skateboarding game, and then I loved it.
Yep. I was working some delivery job, and I remember hearing other people talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I'm like, I'm the one who talks about video games. What is happening right now? And that was one.
I mean, that's a big deal. Is that it's that, like, it does bridge this. It's not even a divide. It's just like it's appealing to both gamers and actual skaters, and then you also factor in the soundtrack of it all, and it was definitely one of the first games in my memory that wasn't like a Zelda or a Mario that like everybody knew about, that was like cross-cultural.
Yep. I said I was working a delivery job. I vaguely remember being in the back of either a pizza store or a restaurant that I definitely worked at, and someone was walking out the back door to go deliver something, but maybe I wasn't, because I was just like 16, so maybe I wasn't working a delivery job yet. Either way though, a very important franchise to me. Hope Hope it comes back and is as strong as ever. It deserves it after the performance of 1 and 2, and skateboarding, again, more popular than ever. Hopefully a bunch of idiots at a big company figure it out and can get it done.
Yep.
All right. Kojima says Death Stranding 2's release date is decided, but he can't reveal it yet. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Hideo Kojima has claimed that Death Stranding 2's release date will be revealed in 2025, speaking during a special stage presentation for Death Stranding 2, on the beach. The director claimed that the release date for the game has been decided, but couldn't be announced during the presentation due to unforeseen circumstances. I haven't said the release date today, but the release date has already been decided, and I'm currently working on it in preparation for that. Since we are talking about 2025, it will be released next year, so we will announce it at some point next year, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we cannot announce it today. Who knows what that could possibly mean? I mean, yeah, so maybe needlessly mysterious. Maybe the unforeseen circumstances is Jeff Keighley was in the audience. It was like, you better fucking not. You bring that to my stuff. Although, the Game Awards is not in 2025, so he's saying he won't announce the date at the Game Awards. Doesn't mean there won't be a trailer, more trailers there.
Totally. So, yeah. This, I mean, it's like, I think like Kojima is like, he's just like bought into his own persona.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
You know, he's more persona than he is developer anymore. Yeah, I mean, like there's like a cult of celebrity worship around him. Yeah.
Yep. It's so I mean, for this game, they're kind of, this was a little bit of another coming out party for it. As part of it, we'll talk about the photo mode in a second, which is just incredible stuff. But he like showed off stuff like a $1,700 jacket that is branded after the game that he's making with I can't remember the name of the company. I don't care. But it's it's a high end retail brand, and 1,700. It's sold out. It's sold out. Niluk. No, yeah, that's acronym. Thank you. Early 2000s reruns says that the company's acronym. Yeah, it's okay.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is the like case and point about what I just said about there are these people that have this
for sure
celebrity worship around Kojima, and he's in a category. Yeah. Oh, totally. No. He totally sells it.
Yeah.
And I get it, but yeah, it is. I mean, that's just it. Case in point, he absolutely can sell a $1,700 jacket or whatever it is. Yep. It's a lot.
It's I mean, and that for me, all this stuff that he does that is kind of big and brash and loud or weird and interesting before the game comes out is part of the experience, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy rolling my eyes at it a little bit as well. Like a bunch of it is silly.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when he really does get into his shit, when he's like just like in his bag, which he is with this photo mode, Kojima details Death Stranding 2 photo shoot event and in-game dance number. I love this stuff. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC as well. Hideo Kojima has detailed several in-game events in Death Stranding 2, including a photo shoot event and an in-game dance sequence, announced during a special stage presentation for the game, which took place during the Tokyo Game Show on Sunday. The director showed off more of the game, including an in-depth photo shoot event. I should just bring this up so people can really get a look at this, because it's wild stuff. He basically just has the characters. Oh, let me mute that. The actors that he, scanned and took their souls, he has now put them in his game and is making them pose while he takes Polaroids of them.
Yeah, they're doing a photo shoot in the game. This is not
He's having them dance and pose for him. It's a lot. And hey,
it's hilarious.
As long as they're all paid and signed their consent on the dotted line, okay. And I mean, honestly, it looks like technically it looks amazing. It looks like the characters are moving around in realistic ways. They look photorealistic. The Polaroids look great. It's just really weird, Emma, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think that Mike IP, you nailed it. It sure looks like a thing Kojima would make.
Yes, it really does. And would put in his game and then prominently talk about it during a stage presentation for 90 minutes at Tokyo Game Show. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely in the words and deeds category of he's going to be a little weird and he's just going to be like, isn't this great to everybody? And everyone's going to be like, from the outside, it looks kind of creepy. And
Yeah.
because it is a little bit, but I don't know. It's also a little harmless, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like from what we've seen, it doesn't look like exploitative. They're
Right.
wearing, like puffer jackets, and yeah. I mean,
we'll see. I mean, it's called On the Beach. There'll probably be a bikini mode. Who knows? I don't.
totally.
We'll see. But I mean, right. Either way, when I see Death Stranding 2 and I see this kind of weird stuff pop off, it's like, yep, this is what I expected. I think Death Stranding is an interesting game, one that I've come to appreciate more over time. It's still not exactly my kind of delivery man job. We're going to be playing that later today with Expeditions, a Mud Runner game. It's like, that's kind of like, I like something that's punishing and simmy, and this is like maybe the more arcadey version of it to some extent. And then all the weird stuff on top and the story, that's the completely passed me by. I get no enjoyment from that for the most part. And this seems to be in that bucket. And so when I'm playing this game, I will probably never interact with this. I
like that Kojima was like, you know what Death Stranding was missing? Pokemon Snap. We just we gotta add
and just like he treats humans in real life, he's got to catch them all. Yes. Yeah. His collection of digital women that he has grown to a certain, and he just throws them in binders, and they're just all there, and he picks them from a menu. Enjoy. Hey, you do your thing, Kojima. Everyone seems to be on board. So have your fun.
Sure.
There's also the dance number, which actually is frankly incredible. Everyone remembers Doll Man, right? You remember Doll Man from the first Death Stranding 2 trailer?
Oh, vaguely. Yeah.
So Doll Man is the little doll character that kind of looks like Alan Wake, and he's fully voiced, and he's a character, and everyone's just like, this is normal in the game, which again, that's incredible stuff. That's the weird stuff of that's what Death Stranding 2 absolutely should be. And here they are. There's 5 of them dancing somewhat in unison, as if they are marionettes, right? That's the ones that are on strings. And now, here's a real man dancing with them, although he's digital and glitching out, and I don't know if he's actually real. But they're doing kind of a J-pop dance number now. So okay. Hey, again, trying to put Kojima in a box, trying to put Death Stranding in a box, impossible. So
yes,
I'm glad he like embraces that side of things, because I do. Yeah, I want this game to be weird. I really want that to be the case.
They're going to be teaching this class or teaching this dance in K-pop dance classes.
For sure.
Around major metropolitan cities everywhere.
I say I want the game to be weird, and Dan Record says, like, Grubb, I think you're going to get what you want.
I think it's going to be a weird game.
I think you might deliver this time. Strangely, yes. So Death Stranding 2 out in 2025. He had 90 minutes. He talked about dancing Doll Man and photographing Elle Fanning.
Cool.
Shout outs to him, living the dream, I suppose. All right. Assassin's Creed Shadows is reportedly a bugged mess leading to delay, and Splinter Cell Remake was apparently internally delayed. This is from Mohammed Al-Bari at Twisted Voxel. Assassin's Creed Shadows is currently a bugged mess, which is what ultimately led to its delay to February 2024. During the latest video on the TVPH YouTube channel, host PH talked about the sensitive situation at Ubisoft after the surprising delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows. A source within the company told them that the decision to delay the upcoming title was because it was a bugged mess. It was further mentioned that the decision to delay Assassin's Creed Shadows was also influenced by the poor sales of Star Wars Outlaws. Ubisoft executives believed that the latter's buggy state was one of the main reasons why it didn't sell well, and they didn't want to see the same happening with the next entry in the Assassin's Creed series. The company expects Assassin's Creed Shadows to sell 10 million copies, much like the previous mainline entries. Yeah, this seems to all track with what Ubisoft has publicly said, and it seems to be Ubisoft falling into old traps of they've done this before, where they release a game and they're like, we got to get it out in time for our sales expectations, and it's maybe not finished in terms of polish and bugs, but we will get it out there and people will buy it, and then we'll fix it while it's in the air. And that is something that they've regretted many times before, not just with Star Wars Outlaws. Many times before, they've regretted this and said, we are going to change and we're going to delay everything so we can get everything right. And now we're back here again, them doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
It feels like lessons were temporarily learned, and really they were learned and then thrown out again because of financial demands of a company whose stock is at the lowest point in 11 years. And they have, and there just seems to be all kinds of other fears surrounding it. And it seems like they're going from one panic to the other, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, this is, quote, the surprising delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Would we call it surprising?
I mean, it's always surprising because apparently Assassin's Creed games have almost never had a delay. So it's like, maybe, I mean, it's surprising in the sense that the Ubisoft sort of disease of pushing these games out when they're not ready has finally infected Assassin's Creed, and maybe that's a scary sign. But I'm with you where it's like, this just feels symptomatic of everything else that's happening there.
I mean, I knew that when the preview event was called off with no date to which it was delayed, it was just until further notice. I was like, oh, this game's not coming out this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't know what to expect from the future of Ubisoft, because can they keep doing this? I don't know.
Well, okay, so this is the thing that I will say about Assassin's Creed Shadows is that I do think that they have a right to win here. This does look like a cool game. I like that we are doing feudal Japan. You know, like I like the setting of this. I say, yes, take your time and launch this game when it is ready, because they cannot afford to lose right now. And I'm already interested and intrigued. I mean, we see that there is a real appetite for that feudal Japan setting across, across medium of entertainment, with the huge success at the Emmys of something like a Shogun, and people loved Ghosts of Tsushima, and now we have Ghosts of Yote announced. And then, so again, like, they have a right to win here. Again, I agree that what we've seen and the fact that it's been hands off the entire time, it is not surprising to me that it is super duper buggy, but I feel like this could potentially be a very cool game, especially because it's like the two characters are different from one another. Instead of it just really
seen that before from Assassin's Creed.
Instead of it just being man, woman, and man version and woman version, it's like, no, you have a ninja and you have a samurai. And so, it's just like, it looks like it could be cool. So take your time.
Yeah, it's I agree. I think that this is one I was more excited about from Assassin's Creed, where it's my track record of enjoying Assassin's Creed is pretty spotty, but I mean, I think Brotherhood is incredible. That's the one, right? Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood. And then I enjoyed 4 quite a bit, but I didn't finish it. I played a little bit of Valhalla and thought that was fine, but it was way too big, so that scared me off. And then Odyssey was the one I think I did finish. Oh, I enjoyed Unity as well. I reviewed Unity, but that's one no one else likes. But I enjoyed it when I played it. There was a cool like Sherlock Holmes mini game where you were just like investigating murders at parties and stuff like that.
All I did was play Orlog, the bone dice game in Valhalla, so I get it.
Yeah. There's a lot of Assassin's Creed games that I find very easy to ignore, and this one was like one was building up to be like, well, I'm going to try this one at the very least. Now, had I tried it and it was like buggy to the point of turning me away, which is actually pretty hard for me. I have a high tolerance for that stuff. It really just comes down if I feel like I'm losing progress, that's the thing that really gets me. Otherwise, I'm like, hey, I think video games are interesting when they're broken, but that's me again. But if it was like bugging to the point of pushing even me away, well, yeah, you that's a situation you want to avoid, because this is like a chance to recapture the attention of an audience that is kind of asking you to do that. They're like, hey, please give me a reason to care about Assassin's Creed again. And if they can do that, then that'd be great. Like that's a very mainstream franchise. It's a series that like John Carpenter always talks about enjoying.
Oh, yeah.
And things like where it's like people just kind of show up for that franchise every year, and they want to have a certain level of quality, and they've kind of gotten a little bit, I think, run ragged by the current trend of, like, even though they've only done this the last 4 games of the RPG style, like not counting Mirage, I think they're like, give me something that feels like it is new again, and this was definitely going to do that. But February, problem there, like you were mentioning, there's a lot of stuff kind of coming out. Ghost of Yotei in 2025 is maybe the least of its troubles, because in February there's so many other things coming out. That
I feel like that's how this year was too, where, I mean, now games are coming out again, but it was the same thing. It was like February, March, April. I feel like that's when all the video games came out. It was kind of like February through June.
Yeah. That's a
July,
point.
and then like the last couple of months, I feel like I've just been like, I don't know.
Yeah, I did give Assassin's Creed Unity a 91. I really enjoyed that game, and then I also didn't have many bugs when I was playing it too. So it was weird to like have it go up, and then it was like, oh, that was the entire story. Is these people don't have fucking faces? I'm like, wait, what? But yeah,
you're like, oh, they had faces in my game.
Yeah, they did. And if I did see bugs, it was nothing that bothered me. Yeah, hey, Assassin's Creed is one of those ones that should feel automatic. It had been for a very long time. Them having to delay it does feel them like they are back on their heels to a certain extent. Whether they're going to be able to sort of spring back from this, I think a lot of it will come down to, does this extra time actually enable them to clear up the bugs and make it feel very polished? If that's the case, I think it's a strong case, or a strong chance of surviving and weathering all the other games in February. But that it'll really just come down to that final quality, and whether people are talking about, man, this is a really good one, you should check it out, because there will be so many games for people to say that about in early next year. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, Nintendo is just going ham with its copyright strikes. We'll talk about that. PS5 Pro not selling out, is that a problem? All of that right after this. All right, let's get back into it. Nintendo is boiling a YouTuber who shows older games running on emulators. This is from Retro Gamecore on YouTube, who I'm a huge fan of. Retro Gamecore is fantastic. He wrote a message to his YouTube audience and said, "It does appear that my worst fears are true and that I am being specifically targeted by Nintendo. My Wii U video was taken down and I received another copyright strike," which is different from a copyright claim. What's the other one? The lighter one. The strike is the serious one, where you can only get 3 on your channel.
Yes.
And if you get 3, you lose your channel. It's all gone.
Yeah.
He said my Wii U video was taken down, and I received another copyright strike, even though this showcase video was no different than all the tech demos and reviews I have made on this channel previously. I'm still considering a counterclaim under fair use, as the video was for educational use, transformative in nature, and had no effect on the market. It was a demonstration of a console no longer for sale, and even the Wii U eShop is closed, so the company itself has no means of earning revenue from Wii U sales. However, I am reluctant to open that can of worms with a multi-billion-dollar corporation, as their next step would be to file legal action. At the very least, this means I'm going to change how I approach future videos. I will no longer show any Nintendo games on screen, which is a shame because I love using those games for my hardware demonstrations. I don't know how that will play out when it comes to showing things like ESDE, which is the Emulation Station Desktop Edition, front-end themes that contain Nintendo characters, but for now, I'm going to focus on actual gameplay. I'm also going through the videos I am working on and blurring out any Nintendo game content as a precaution, even innocuous content like NES games. Unfortunately, this is going to delay some video releases. My latest video should be up right now, but instead I have to re-edit and re-upload the video first. I know this is disappointing news, but with now 2 strikes on my channel, I don't really have any other choice except to adjust accordingly. Thank you for understanding. It's especially annoying because Nintendo does seem to do this even when there is no sort of market case anymore, where it is for older consoles that they've abandoned or they move on from these things. Of course they do. But what do they expect us to do? To just like leave those things in the past? Be like, just sell us new stuff.
Just let the past die. That's what they think. I truly do think that that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
I think that even though, yes, they just opened the Nintendo Museum, Nintendo values their proprietary claim over everything they have ever published not prior to the Switch, where they are working with a lot of third parties. For a long time, it was Nintendo was particularly about their own IP. Nintendo does this all the time. I'm just having flashbacks to 2020 and the Smash Brothers controversy over using Slippy to emulate Melee, a game that you cannot play online.
Yep.
And this is when people were at home. They could not get together and actually play on GameCubes. And Nintendo tries to shut down this whole Smash Brothers tournament over running Melee on Slippy. This makes me so angry. And Nintendo will literally go after whoever. Nobody is making money off of this, Nintendo. This person is not marketing an emulator because this is not competing with you. You can't make money off of this. This is a Wii U situation. The Wii U is not for sale anymore.
And it's like all this really does with like on a technical level is give people something to do with their old hardware.
Correct.
So that they can have good feelings about it. Check out some old games that they probably wouldn't have any other way of finding. Maybe try some games that never got released in their territory. Just like extend the life of these consumer electronic devices that are fully defunct now. And it is fully defunct. It isn't. I mean, I get that there's a world where Nintendo's like, we're going to take some of these games, we are going to remake them and re-release them on new hardware. I mean, you haven't done that yet, but that is nothing that's happened with the emulation space or with or with hacking old hardware has ever prevented those things from selling very well. They continue to sell very well. It is just a heavy-handed approach that Nintendo just is addicted to, and it is a little scary because it's like, man, I would love to. There's all these old games I would love to show off in one way or the other, but am I gonna have to go find them physically, or like
that's the thing is like and the thing that bothers me here is that Nintendo does not care about how insignificant you are in comparison to them. I mean, that's what a Retro Game Core is talking about. I don't want to get into a legal battle with a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And he is nothing. Nothing.
And those
compared
strikes
to Nintendo.
And those strikes don't happen by some automated system. Those kinds only happen if
correct. The copyright claims.
Yeah, the claims is the lighter one. Yes, and those happen automatically all the time. There's the AI and stuff like that. Whatever, content ID, all those things. Copyright strikes is some lawyer at Nintendo found this channel. Or their kids send it to them and be like, hey, can you help me hack my Wii U? And he's like, what the hell is this horse shit?
And that is truly exactly what it is. It's that you can fly under the radar for Nintendo if they're not like actively looking for you. But the second they are alerted of your existence, it's game over.
Yep. And it sucks because like Retro Game Core, I said I'm a fan. I've been retweeting his stuff for the better part. Like, especially since the Steam Deck came out, he did really good stuff with the Steam Deck. And I would retweet his stuff, and it's like he's grown a lot in those times due to his hard work. And it's like, man, should we be trying to like keep ourselves like to a certain level so that we don't pop our heads up so Nintendo notices and try to chop them off? It seems like actually, yes, that is the answer, which is absurd. People doing hard work like Retro Game Core should be able to have success and do it in a way that feels completely respectful of Nintendo's opportunities to sell stuff on the market. Does not feel like it's interfering with those things at all.
It is not.
And yet 2 copyright strikes. And honestly, just feels like a matter of time before Nintendo finds a way to do that third one. Honestly, when they are trying to scare him more than anything, like they understand how the system works. Get 2 copyright strikes, try to keep you in your place so you don't get out and start getting big ideas. That sucks even worse to a certain extent. They just like, we don't need Nintendo policing how we have fun with the devices that we purchased and own. Leave us alone. It is. It is nonsense. And it just, I mean, I'm a Nintendo fanboy, love their stuff, and it makes me feel poisoned against them.
I know.
And I don't blame anyone else who's like, this just completely turns me off that company. I don't blame you. I get it, of course.
I totally get it.
PS5 Pro is not sold out yet. It is still available on the PlayStation Direct store. This has led to some conversations. People are always, is it gonna is it not doing well or something like that? I think there's a couple of things there. For one, it is only available on PlayStation Direct, and not everyone buys their stuff that way. A lot of people like to buy stuff from the store. Then they have like their GameStops and their Best Buys and their Walmarts and their Targets that they are used to making big purchases at. So until that happens, I'm like, I don't really know if I think any of that matters. And two, did the PS4 Pro ever sell out? I don't remember that necessarily.
I don't recall
happening.
either.
Yeah.
I also just had a regular PS4 and was like, I don't need to get the Pro. I'm good.
Yeah. Someone in chat's asking, what is PlayStation Direct? I should always remember. Sometimes people don't always keep up with all these things.
Yeah.
PlayStation Direct is Sony's online store that they sell everything directly to you through. So they call it PlayStation Direct. I'm reading this as like, this doesn't seem like a problem to me. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I don't think so either. Again, you're talking about a $700 machine that, once again, and we had this conversation on the show previously, who they are appealing to are hardware tech heads who are going to buy it simply to have it, for whom money is not necessarily an issue, or that is something that this particular breed of person chooses to invest their money in. And then people who are like, oh, I didn't already have a PS5 and I have the money, so I might as well get a PS5 Pro. I don't think that PlayStation was really expecting this to do gangbusters. Yeah. But I mean, I could be wrong. Yeah,
it's I think that the early conversation, I was like, yeah, this thing will still sell out. But now that we're here, it's like, oh, what is it going to sell out? I mean, first of all, they are going to have less of a supply constraint than they were experiencing in 2020. Obviously, that was a completely different world. But even beyond that, it just feels like the demand is necessarily lower because most of that demand has already been met and satisfied by the standard PS5. And we had the conversation, like you said, we talked it through, and it's not like the PS4 to PS4 Pro, where people did feel a little bit more of a need to upgrade. PS5, most people are pretty satisfied, and a lot of people are like, has this generation even started? And even then, the PS4 Pro, it was 12% of every PS5 sold, or PS4 sold, or something like that. So the PS5 Pro, being in that range, and probably not even being that high, maybe like 9 to 10% of every PS5 Pro sold, or PS5 sold. It's you could see it like, it's not a slow start, it's the expected start, and it's there, and it's selling to exactly the people it's meant to sell to, and they're probably going to continue selling it through the holiday, and it'll be just fine. And going forward, one out of every 2.5 to 3 PlayStation sold will be a Pro, and that will raise the average price that they are getting from each consumer, and they're going to be pretty happy with that. This doesn't like foretell a like price drop for this thing or anything like that, right?
No. Oh God, no, we're not at that point yet. Nope. All I want is the throwback colors DualSense controller.
Yep. I got in line for that, and I really wanted the Pro 30th anniversary, and so when that sold out before I was even like through the line, the digital queue, I was like, that stinks. And I didn't really want any of the other stuff. I just wanted the Pro that came with the DualSense Edge throwback and all that stuff. But now I'm like looking at it, I'm like, some of those other things might have been cool to have, but at this point, mostly happy I had a reason not to spend a bunch of money.
Definitely.
All right, Astrobot devs acknowledge Final Fantasy VII Erasure. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku.
Thank you.
Astrobot isn't just a brilliant adventure platformer, it's also an homage to PlayStation history. Sometimes that can make it feel like a Funko Pop branding exercise, but it's also fun to see all of the nods to important games and characters from the platform's past. That's made some absences, like Final Fantasy VII, all the more noticeable, especially since they appeared in the PS5's original Astro's Playroom Pack and launch game. Team Asobi studio head Nicolas Doucet, who directed Astrobot, was asked about how the game's over 300 bots were selected and created in a recent interview with GameFile. I was thinking, well, maybe half of the ones we're wishing for will make it, he said. In the end, in fact, almost 100% are in, because these partners just raised their hand and said absolutely, but seemingly not all. On the subject of missing bots from Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and Nier, Doucet was diplomatic about why they didn't end up in the game. It's difficult to comment on that, he said. We really respect the choice of each publisher. And that's kind of how he put it. Other missing bots like Twisted Metal's psychopathic clown Sweet Tooth were at Team Asobi's discretion. They advised us, they didn't force us, and we agreed that it was better to leave this character out, Doucette said, citing conversations with former Twisted Metal devs, because if you're playing with your kids, we don't want you to have to explain what this character does. What does Sweet Tooth do? Actually, Sweet Tooth is the name of the truck, right? I can't remember the name.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth is the name of the actual vehicle.
Right.
The driver's name is
Edward Carnby.
Needles Kane.
Needles Kane, there it is. Needles Kane. Not Edward Carnby. That's the name of the character from Alone in the Dark. Yeah, okay. So we've probably discussed this before, but this goes back to Square Enix being a little bit weird now with how it's even thinking about its relationships with Final Fantasy, right?
It's licensing.
Yep.
They wanted more money. and
probably.
And look, again, there is a rethinking of the relationship that they have with PlayStation overall and the way that they are releasing their games. It does feel like like Kingdom Hearts. I'm a little okay, but I think that especially when you're talking about just really leaning into the early history of PlayStation, like not having Final Fantasy VII in there it's strange. It's strange, yeah.
And I think it does come down to Square Enix is probably constantly in conversations with PlayStation about like what value Final Fantasy has to PlayStation, and so every little thing becomes a bargaining chip, and you kind of can't just hand things over. Well, you could, but I bet Square Enix was in a position where they're like, every time we hand something over, that's something that could have added a couple of zeros or maybe an extra $250,000 to some deal that would make some game timed exclusive. And so we're not going to just give those over. That, and the timeline for that makes, like, now obviously we know there's been a big reversal there. Maybe they're trying to have everything everywhere, but when they were making this game, they would have still been deep in what is the exclusive relationship actually between Square Enix and Sony PlayStation when it comes to Final Fantasy, and that would have affected this.
Definitely.
And Square Enix this is not like just between Square Enix and PlayStation. We keep looking at Final Fantasy games not on Nintendo Switch Online. Now, that is probably because Nintendo pays jack all to get you in Nintendo Switch Online, so I don't blame them. But it'd be nice if Chrono Trigger was available on Nintendo Switch. That'd be neat.
That would be neat.
All right, here. Horizon 3 might be far off as Guerrilla is working on Horizon Online instead. This is according to Jason Schreier. And the story comes by way of Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. After 2 successful single-player adventures in the Horizon series, it seems that Sony is now taking a slightly different approach to Aloy and her adventures going forward. For one thing, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered is coming at the end of next month, followed by LEGO Horizon Adventures in November, rather than getting Horizon 3. After that, many are probably hoping for Horizon 3, but that doesn't seem to be the case, according to Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier, who recently appeared on the Spawnwave podcast. Instead, he says that Sony is serious about its live service game strategy and that Horizon 3 could be a long way off, pointing out that the risk is that Sony is now in danger of wiping out interest in the series with games that many fans may not want. Guerrilla Games is in an interesting place because they're working on this Horizon Online game that I'm not sure how many people want. And so they've got this remaster coming and then the Lego game coming. Part of me feels like, I wonder what happens if neither of those hit. And it turns out there isn't a ton of interest in Horizon anymore. Are they still going to be doing the online game? I don't know. There are a lot of questions around their strategy and around that online game that I certainly have. Horizon Online is their next project, not whatever the third single player game looks like. So that might be one that is a ways off. Sony PlayStation's live service initiative was no joke. Everybody was like, it's live service games all around, and Horizon is one of the few that hasn't been canceled or hasn't come out and flopped the way Concord did. So yeah, a lot of questions there, but a lot of people are working on that online project. I forget, where do you stand with Horizon? Because it's not my franchise. Whenever I play it, I kind of bounce off, don't have a good time.
Totally indifferent about it. So that is my question. The people who enjoy Horizon, I feel like they're into a story-driven, giant world, cool aesthetic, lore, blah blah blah, single-player experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't strike me as the people who enjoy Horizon would de facto, let's say, enjoy an online experience. And I do think that perhaps with this, they're just attempting to reach a new audience. But yeah.
I mean, it does. I mean, it feels risky right now, especially after Concord was such a huge flop. And it's not like, Helldivers 2, which was a huge success, has like changed the fortunes of Sony. It's not like that's happened either.
Right.
And so Horizon Online, which I assume is going to be more expensive than either of those, and bigger and more demanding of people's time because it's bigger, you got to keep players in longer and getting them maybe spending money in more ways. I don't know. It just feels like there's even more on the line. Like it's even a bigger bet. And putting my finger on the pulse of imaginary gamers out there, it's hard to see many of them clamoring for this or looking to spend a lot of time in a world like this.
Yeah.
When there are every couple of years a big new online game comes out of nowhere on Steam, and it's one you never would expect and kind of looks cheap and janky. And that's what people like. Yeah. It just does Horizon mesh into that? I could be wrong, and it could come out and take over the world. But it feels like a risky bet that probably won't pay off in this moment right now. And so, where does that leave everything? And I mean, where does that leave things for Horizon? And then where does that leave things for Sony and its future? I think it's kind of in the same zone that it's been in, which is, where do we go for the future? Where is the growth going to come from?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with a lot of what's being said in chat. Like Rising Table saying they're hoping to get people who don't like Horizon to like Horizon. I think that rather than that, their better bet is to focus on the people who do already like Horizon. Like Horizon is by all accounts, even though I'm not necessarily into those games myself, but I know a lot of people that are. And they really do love those games. And online is not going to include any of the reason that they love those games. And so Sony, instead of trying to make this like the big blockbuster game that everybody loves and is talking about, like focus on your fan base.
Yeah. And it did seem like they were able to grow the fan base from 1 to 2 and by packing in games with the PlayStations, and that seemed to get a certain level of interest that is pretty massive.
Totally.
I guess, I mean, rushing to do 3 might make some sense, but also it's like maybe there are diminishing returns, so maybe you do want to do something between that and today. But is that the Horizon Online game? I mean, I just I can't remember many examples, I guess, beyond GTA Online, where you add online to a franchise and it turned into much. I can remember some famous like failures, like The Sims Online and things like that.
Sure.
But I don't know. Are there examples of that come to your mind? Because I don't.
Outside of GTA,
it's like even Red Dead Redemption Online is like one that felt like it underdelivered. So it's
Yeah,
like multiplayer modes in games, like Fart says BioShock 2 multiplayer underrated.
Yeah.
Like multiplayer modes in games that come out, like those, there's definitely been some huge successes there. That's not what this is. This is supposed to be big live service game in the Horizon universe. And
right. That's different than just adding multiplayer. And I did see some talk in chat about just focus on Horizon 3 and include an online multiplayer option.
Yeah, I mean, God, wouldn't that go over real nice right now, especially if they had done that with like The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, whichever one they did, where it's like, that came out, why not just have factions, the multiplayer mode as part of that? That felt like that would be great. But it's like, no, these things now are their own separate giant bets. They have to deliver on their own merits. And it's like, oh, okay, we've maybe lost the thread, but we definitely don't. We're definitely kind of making some errors here in terms of thinking that all these things can turn into giant profit generating
into their
machines.
own exactly into their own thing. Just make it a part of the thing that already exists.
Right. And it's
try it out.
Like the infinite growth is not going to go away. All these companies are legally obligated to do that. But in terms of like having that then filter down and infect each one of these franchises in its own separate way of, okay, the infinite growth for this now means that the fun multiplayer mode now needs to be its own multiplayer live service game like Fortnite. You're deluding yourself. That is crazy that you even thought that was possible. So let's maybe get back to the basics here a little bit. Do what you do it really well, and be happy with that success, and find growth by making new things. I don't know what else to tell you, but this is not gonna work.
This is not gonna work. No.
All right, that does it for the headlines I have here. I got a poll question from last week. Let's pull that up. I'm going to refresh that. There we go. Okay, what do you want from StarCraft? All right, there was rumors that maybe a new StarCraft shooter was in the works. More stuff from Jason Schreier as he goes on his book tour here. When I asked, hey, do you want StarCraft 3? 40% said, yeah, that's what I want. When I asked, do you want a spinoff? 24% said, yeah, I want a shooter or an action or adventure game, sure. And then 36% said, I don't want StarCraft. So most people seem to still want StarCraft 3. But a pretty decent response for a spinoff, saying a shooter or an action game. And I think if, this new third attempt at making a StarCraft shooter, if it comes out and looks really good, I think a lot more people will show up for that. But I kind of want Blizzard to like take some chances and try some different stuff with their existing franchises. As long as they continue to still make the core games as well, they definitely should be doing a StarCraft 3. Like, clearly they should be doing that. All right. That's that poll question. I have a new one here in a second. Before we get to that, Emma Fyffe, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'm at Emma Fyffe all over the internet, wherever Emma Fyffes are sold, except TikTok, where it's the Emma Fyffe. But I'm mostly a lurker on TikTok. I used to like it. I used to get lots of like cute, fun anime video or anime, but mostly animal videos. And now I just keep getting ads. So, the end shitification of TikTok is here. It was a good time for a while. And then, mostly you can like just find me at my home, working on getting ready for my wedding, which is happening this coming weekend. So that's what's happening with me, baby.
Good luck with all that. I'm glad it seems like it's mostly going pretty well. And I'm excited for you both.
Yeah.
I hope it's excellent. Jan says he's going to bring a bunch of buzz balls. So just let him do it. His thing. He needs it, Emma.
Jan.
He needs it. You just got to.
I also apparently he asked Bailey what he should wear to the wedding, and he may show up in a full camo suit. So, it's going to be a good time.
Let's go. Yeah, and I have 4 skeletons back here now, everybody. There's one more mini one, and then I have the giant Jack skeleton, which won't fit in the basement. So I'll take a picture and show that to y'all. All right, new poll question. There it is. Do you want a Horizon Online game? Yes or no? It's, we'll see how the responses go to this, but I think even if, like, let's say, like, if I had to guess and say, like, 15% said yes, that is something you can work with as long as you set your expectations and budget to a certain level. I think the reason we say this can't work, Emma, right, is my guess here is the budget is enormous.
No, yeah.
Dan, was that, did that say Crunch Bogus was calling? If you just jump into the call, you could just hop in here and say whatever you want. I missed who exactly that was calling. All right. In the meantime, let's see here. Anything else I should mention? Yes. We'll get the results of this poll on Game This Morning's on Giant Bomb on Wednesday. Speaking of Giant Bomb, it is Infrastructure Week. We're going to have some fun stuff all throughout the week, dealing with various creations of roads and sewers and delivering equipment that is for construction, all kinds of fun stuff. It'll be a good time. Going to try to do some expeditions, a Mud Runner game today. Anything else I should mention? Bombcast will happen tomorrow. Blight Club should return this week, probably on Wednesday this time, after the excellent Friday episode we snuck in before the end of the week. A lot of the normal stuff will return. What time is Mud Runner? Probably I don't know. We'll discuss it. We got to figure out. We got some meetings we got to do first, so it'll probably be a little bit later. Probably 2 to 3 hours. I'll probably say probably closer to 3 hours. All right. I think with all that stuff out of the way, Emma, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. All right.